Well, I think for the people in New York, they're going to see ICE and our other federal partners do the law enforcement mission, right? This wasn't something that just organically happened overnight. We decided to go hit Canal Street. With any criminal investigation, you have to build up intelligence. You have to work with sources. You have to go ahead and have the right evidence and work with the U.S. Attorney's Office. But you will see an increase in ICE arrests because there are so many criminally illegal aliens that have been released in New York specifically, and especially that are being harbored in, New York, from the lack of cooperation there in New York City. So you will see us making those criminal arrests to make New York safe again. But I will tell you that it's definitely intelligence driven. It's not random. We're just not pulling people off the street. There was a specific reason based on criminal intelligence and criminal activity that we showed up on Canal Street.
Going on, everybody. Thank you all for joining me today. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel, and most importantly, please make sure that you are following me on Telegram at TD Media Group to help circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. With the introduction out of the way, let's get into today's news. And today we have to head on over to New Venezuela, formerly known as New York City. Why is that? Not to speak on Big Tush today. We're not talking about her today, but what I do want to talk about is the massive ICE raid that took place yesterday in New York City's Chinatown on Canal Street, a street that is notoriously known for illegal street vending by illegal immigrants. Well, ICE came through, cleaned it up, and made Canal Street great again. And DNC lunatics are upset about it, especially those like Governor Kathy Hochul. Look at what she wrote here. Check this out. She put, real Donald Trump claims he's targeting the worst of the worst. Today, his agents used batons and pepper spray on street vendors and bystanders on Canal Street. You don't make New York safer by attacking New Yorkers. Well, you make New York safe by enforcing the law. But since you guys don't like to do that over there, the Trump administration had to do it for you by way of ICE. And now, once again, as I'll show you later, Canal Street has been made great again, at least temporarily. But as it pertains to ICE using batons and pepper spray, well, it's because New Yorkers, particularly the DNC lunatics that give into the rhetoric that you spew, they chose to be violent. They chose to be reckless. They chose to be the degenerates that they always turn out to be. And you can F around and find out when you do that. When you're obstructing justice and you're assaulting federal agents, guess what? There's going to be consequences. And I want to get into some of those consequences right now. News Nation did a really good job yesterday with their on-the-ground coverage of what was going on over there. And I want to play about a good 3 minutes of that video clip just to break down a couple of things that their anchor on the ground is talking about that I found was very interesting. So let's pivot over to that clip now.
You know, it's hard to believe that this is Manhattan and it's 2025 and it looks like a war zone out here. People are masked up. They're not showing their faces. Everyone has a cell phone out. They're videoing it and sending it back. It's just causing such a stir. And, you know, to be totally honest, it's very difficult to watch. This is a city that we love. This is a city where there are so many people who are working very hard. It's just so incredibly divisive. And regardless of what your view is, it's a difficult situation all around. Here is this armored vehicle. As you see, we have not seen it. Somebody's on the ground. We're running over to that. Our photographer, Greg, is running. Now again, this person, we've been watching this person. He has been pushing ICE agents and police, and people have been defending him. There's another woman right in front. She was also pushing some of these officers. Whether they know someone who was arrested by police for being undocumented is unclear. Again, we're trying to figure out how many arrests there actually were that were undocumented.
Can we stop right there for a moment? So she's telling you, because they're on the ground reporting this. And News Nation has done a very good job at reporting this stuff concerning, you know, they did an excellent job during the, you could say, migrant crisis era, which is the Biden era, and the mass deportation era that we're in right now. They've been doing a phenomenal job with on the ground coverage as well. And as she stated here, this guy that they have here on the ground, right, this so-called protester, she stated he's been causing trouble the entire time that he was there, pushing on and essentially assaulting federal agents. But then did you catch what she said? And people are defending him. They're defending that. So when you have someone like Kathy Hochul saying, oh my God, they're using batons and pepper spray and they're beating up on New Yorkers. No, you're beating up on ICE agents. They're holding you accountable. And once they start holding you accountable, now you want to cry victim and pretend that somebody's doing something to you. Typical DNC playbook. It's disgusting, man. Rewind it back just a little bit and we're going to continue move forward.
Again, we're trying to figure out how many arrests there actually were that were undocumented immigrants as opposed to protesters. At this point, these are protesters who are being arrested.
Yeah, I noticed right away there that protester being arrested was covering his face, and the agents took the face covering off of him when he was on the ground. But you said you saw that person earlier causing issues?
Yes, and I know that there's a lot of discussion as to whether people come down and kind of stir the pot on some of these situations, whether he was one of those, protesters or activists. There has been this group of people, this woman also kind of threw herself in front of vehicles. We thought she had gotten hit by a car momentarily.
Can we stop right there, please? She just highlighted the woman with the purse who was causing a ruckus too. She threw herself in front of a vehicle and they thought she got hit by a car. I'm assuming there weren't enough cameras around for her to play the role and say, oh my God, I got hurt, I got hit. This is fascism. There weren't enough cameras around. So I guess she got up and just decided to carry on about her way. And now she's looking for another opportunity to create chaos. But once again, they're on the ground covering this live. And she's showing you and telling you these people out here, so-called protesters in New Venezuela, are causing a ruckus. Throwing yourself in front of a vehicle? What's wrong? Like how demented do you have to be to even do something like that? That's completely crazy. Assaulting ICE agents? How demented do you have to be to put hands on a federal agent? I'm not banking on this idea that because I catch a federal charge in New York, that a liberal judge is going to bail me out. Most likely they will. But I'm not willing to put my freedom in the hands of anybody and roll the dice on that just so I can get snake eyes. But these people, they don't think. And that's what they're doing. Let's carry on.
Same thing. The man, he had his face covered the entire time. His covering is actually right here on the ground. He was taken into custody. It looks like a t-shirt that he had been wearing. But again, they're still on the move. Now, this is rush hour traffic in Manhattan. We just walked from Soho through Tribeca. Now we're toward the financial district and right by the U.S. courthouse where we've been covering several stories as of late. People are just yelling at the police officers. You can see people in suits coming out. Now they're turning right. Just to give you some perspective, we are on Lafayette now, and let's see. Yeah, but they are heading out. They're just trying to get out of here. Fully square, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, so that's right by the courthouses, right? Like you said, that's fully square.
We are right at the courthouse,
right
where we've been covering Mangione trial, and Diddy just around the corner here. So what's happening is, police officer, there's a woman in an Amazon jacket here, cursing at officers. Yeah, I see. What are you seeing, ma'am?
I'm seeing that they're throwing people on the ground for simply standing and using their First Amendment right to protest.
Okay, why did you join the protest, and where did you join the protest?
I joined at Canal Street. We heard noise from our office and came on down because this is insane what they're doing to people. It's inhumane.
Have you seen them making any arrests of undocumented immigrants or protesters?
Protesters, yes, they're doing it right now. You're missing it. Get it on video. This woman was literally just standing in the street trying to get across it, and they threw her on the ground.
You can't believe anything these people are saying. You can never believe anything these lunatics are saying. You have the reporter that's live on the ground that's telling you what's actually happening. But once again, what's the usual play? Create a ruckus, engage in violence, right? Disturbing the peace. And then when you get held accountable, cry victim. And then you have people like this woman here talking about, oh my God, people are just being arrested for simply standing. All she was doing was standing. She was arrested for just existing, when that clearly is not the case. And we're watching all of this play out in 4K. We're watching it all play out right in front of our face. And this woman is just blatantly lying. despite the fact of what we're seeing with our eyes and what the reporter is actually reporting on the ground. You can't believe anything these people are saying. Now, what I want to do next, though, is I want to take a very interesting turn, because since we have a mayoral race that's getting ready to happen in New Venezuela, I believe it's November 4th that's going to take place, the mayoral hopefuls, Mamdani, Cuomo, and Sliwa, right? Curtis Sliwa, they've all spoken and had at least made some sort of statement concerning yesterday. I want to take a moment to play this video quickly on Fox News, where everyone gave their statements, right? They didn't give their statements live, but like it was via tweets and things of that nature. So let's check out what all three candidates had to say.
Immigration is a hot topic in New York City, a hot topic again tonight, we expect, for the debate for the New York City mayor's race. And both the Democratic candidate Zoran Mamdani and former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo are slamming this raid. Mamdani calls this an aggressive and reckless raid on immigrant street vendors, writing an X in part. Once again, the Trump administration chooses authoritarian theatrics to create fear, not safety. It must stop. Cuomo also weighed in, saying that the raid, Dana, is an abuse of federal power by the Trump administration. More about fear than justice, more about politics than safety. Republican.
Yeah, man, the choices are horrible. I guess Cuomo is better than Mamdani, and I know a good deal of you, if I dare say the majority of you, would rather have Sliwa, that are watching this, as mayor. But the reality is that, Sliwa's not going to win. Unfortunately, he's not, right? And he needs to drop out in order for Cuomo to have a chance to beat Mamdani. Because at this point, you're talking about, choosing between the lesser of two evils. And, for New York's sake, I guess Cuomo is the lesser evil versus a communist. That goes without saying. But also with that said as well concerning Sliwa, because obviously, in most cases, I watched this video beforehand. Sliwa's response was very interesting, right? And I'm going to play that for you right now. And he didn't give an actual direct response, but let me just play it for you.
More about fear than justice, more about politics than safety. Republican candidate Curtis Sliwa hasn't weighed in yet. I reached out to their team, but in the past, he did distance himself from some of Trump's immigration policies, saying he only supports its efforts to deport criminals. Back out here live, the question.
Come on, Curtis. I don't like that. I don't like those statements. Come on, Curtis, man. Curtis. I'll throw him a little bail, because I do understand, obviously, he's running in New Venezuela. And when you're running in these Democratic strongholds, to some degree, you're going to have to kind of bend on certain things. So, I mean, he's not saying that he, wants to stop, federal enforcement of immigration. He's just saying let's keep it strictly to those who are, who have records, criminal records and stuff like that. But just the fact that he's on record for distancing himself, when you start hearing that language, he's distancing himself from like the Trump administration, and certain language around the Trump administration and certain language around immigration enforcement. That's just not a good sign of strength. It's not. And it makes me wonder if you'll fold, once you become mayor, if you became mayor. I just don't like that. I don't want to be able to point too much, but I just, that rubs me the wrong way. But at the same time, I'm trying to understand his perspective. Once again, it is a Democrat stronghold. So I don't know if you can just 100% run as like a wholehearted Republican, right? In New York City. I don't know, man, but I just didn't like that. I didn't like that response. I didn't like that. But let's move on. I don't want to be able to point with Sliwa too much. But that's not a good answer to me. But at the end of the day, I guess for New York City's sake, I think most of us would agree that Slee was a lot better choice than Cuomo and Mamdani. A heck of a lot better of a choice. A heck of a lot better of a choice, right? I just don't like that answer. But I want to end it here. I'm not going to play this video that I have queued up from New York City public advocate Jumaane Williams. It's pointless. For those of you who don't know who he is very much so NYC's Eric Adams. Right, he's very much so not Eric Adams. He's NYC's Brandon Johnson. Right, he's New York City's Brandon Johnson. In the video clip, like Brandon Johnson, he brings everything back to just race. Oh, they were targeting black people. Slavery, Jim Crow, yada, yada, yada. I think the one thing that was the most interesting about what Jumaane Williams did have to say in the clip that I'm not going to play is when he was asked about illegal street vending and why it's taking so long to clean it up. And he stated, I'll just play it. I'm just going to play it. Here, check this out.
And so I'm hoping that New Yorkers are understanding how dire the situation is and really join us in pushing back on this authoritarian tactic for the full weight of the federal government to come in military style for something that we know has been going on for a while. So we do and have been trying to work with agencies and advocacy groups to address these issues. But it's one of the reasons we asked the mayor not to over-criminalize because it provides an excuse for this type of behavior.
So going after illegal street vendors is not new, right? But it's the style, I guess, this time that caught everybody by surprise. You mentioned the new administration that's coming in potentially, depending on who wins the election, right? What is the answer to stop something like that? Can a local mayor stop a federal agent from coming onto the streets of New York City?
Well, as we hear that, New York City's been dealing with illegal vending for hundreds of years. This is not a new issue. But we do have some bills in the council. We have been working with the Street Vending Project to try to find some ways to prevent the concerns, which there are, of New Yorkers with some of the street vendors. So there's an issue that we're hoping the next mayor will work with us to actually get done instead of over-criminalized. I think whoever the mayor is, one of the best things that they can do is really show New Yorkers that we're going to use the powers that we have locally.
You hear how ridiculous that all sounds? Just like a Brandon Johnson, they don't want to criminalize illegal street vending because they don't want situations like this to happen where, like, we're treating criminals as criminals. So instead, what they would like is a more holistic approach at things. This goes to show how much these lunatics thrive off chaos. They create their own madness within their cities that's controlled by them. New York City, just like New York State, Democrat stronghold, just like Chicago is, and the state of Illinois. But you have all this chaos that occurs in these cities because of their local governing body putting forth these nonsense progressive / Democrat policies that don't work. And then in putting that stuff out to which their cities in chaos, they still find a way to reverse that chaos into victimizing the situation and saying somehow this is Republicans' fault, is Trump's fault, is white supremacy, but you're the ones that are in power. All you have to do, Jumaane Williams, is enforce the law. It's illegal. Illegal street vending is illegal. You arrest people, put them in jail, and hold them accountable. And just like that, voila, the streets are clean. And like I'm going to show you right now as we bring this video to a close, check out this article here. Canal Street is very much so safe again and great again. Look at this article here. So the title reads, Quiet Canal Street Without Illegal Vendors Day After ICE Crackdown in Chinatown. Look at the article. Chinatown, Manhattan. On Canal Street Wednesday morning, there was an unusual sense of peace and tranquility. Empty sidewalks were free of illegal street vendors hawking fake designer label purses and luxury watches. If that was the mission of federal agents Tuesday afternoon, to clear the scene of vendors who often hail from West Africa, mission accomplished. Eyewitness News spoke to some siblings from Texas, and it was not their first visit to Chinatown. And I quote, I was like, whoa. You usually see them all packed full everywhere on the streets. Today, pretty quiet, said I So, a tourist. He was an Asian man. I'll show you the video right now. So let's get into this clip here in closing. They're essentially going to repeat exactly what you just heard me say right now, but it is good to get a visual. So check this clip out here as we bring this video to a close.
Test. Eyewitness News reporter Joe Torres live in Chinatown where it all went down. Joe?
Sandra, the hub of illegal commerce that normally fills the sidewalks here on Canal Street, currently on hiatus after that confrontational crackdown by federal agents yesterday here in Chinatown. In fact, just a few minutes ago, the acting ICE director, during an interview on television, said agents made 9 arrests of what he calls criminal aliens with long rap sheets. On Canal Street this Wednesday morning, an unusual sense of peace and tranquility. Empty sidewalks, free of the illegal street vendors hawking fake designer label purses and luxury watches. And if that was the mission of federal agents Tuesday afternoon, to clear the scene of vendors who often hail from West Africa, mission accomplished. These siblings are from Texas, and it's not their first visit to Chinatown.
I was like, whoa. Yeah. You usually see them all packed full everywhere on the streets, but today it was like pretty quiet.
There's not really much people out here no more, as in like the sellers and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pretty quiet.
It is.
That's a beautiful thing, isn't it? Make Canal Street great again. And it was easy to do. You just enforce the laws on the books. But once again, DNC lunatics, they thrive off chaos. They thrive off misery. They thrive off poverty. They thrive off violence. So instead of enforcing the laws on the books, they look for holistic ways, right? We don't want to, hold people accountable and arrest them and put them in jail. We want to look for more holistic ways around it. Translation, we're going to give your tax dollars to nonprofits so that money eventually comes back around into my pocket while you live in filth and misery. And we blame it on white supremacy, despite the fact that we Democrats are the ones that are in control. And with all that being said, that does it for today's news. So I want to thank you guys for joining me today. Please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Share this video on your social media platforms. And please do not forget to follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group. The link to my Telegram is in the description box below and in the comment section as well. Thank you all for your time. Until next video, peace and have a great afternoon.